All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday morning, May the 23rd, 2024. Sorry if yesterday's volume was a little low. I didn't realize it at the time. And so hopefully today's is at a better setting. But anyway, good morning, everybody. Today's the 23rd. So we're going to be looking at, obviously, Psalm 23 is an all-time classic psalm, and it's an amazing psalm. We're going to be looking at some psalms that we're really familiar with. We're going to look at Psalm 53 to open up, and then Psalm 143, Psalm 113, and Psalm 23. And the title today is, in all of these psalms, really what you get the sense of is, or the focus of, is the fact that God is paying attention, that He is looking down upon us, or He is watching over us. And so the question is, when He looks upon us, when He looks upon you and me, and what does He see? Does He see a heart that trusts Him? Does He see sheep who are trusting in His care, resting in His care? And of course, that's what we'll close with, looking at Psalm 23 this morning. But Psalm 53 opens up with a very familiar passage. It says, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God." And so it's interesting. The word for fool, naval here, is the same. So in Hebrew, every word is, at its root, is a three-consonant word. They all have, and so you can have different words that have the same base consonants. And so the word, these three consonants for naval also speak to, is the same when someone is withering or dying. And so there's a relationship between those two words. But the fool says in his heart, there's no God. And the result of that is what we begin to see when you live life with a declaration that there is no God. Again, so it's about what we say in our heart. There are a lot of people that are practical atheists, right? That they may say there is a God, they may recognize that God is there, but live in such a way that basically declares, I don't really think He's there. I don't think He's paying attention. I don't think He's watching, if He's there. So they can say one thing with their lips, but the question is, what's in their heart? The result is they are corrupt. And the word for corrupt here, it is corrupt. But it means they're spoiling. Something that is corrupt, when we talk about, if your computer hard drive is corrupted, something is breaking down inside of it. It's not functioning properly. If fruit has gotten it's breaking down. Its structure is breaking down, and you get a mealy apple, or fruit that's spoiled, rotten. Then that's what a picture of corruption. So sometimes we use the phrase like, "Oh, you're just spoiled rotten," and we lose a sense of what that really is indicating. So the one who lives their life saying there's no God, there is a tearing apart from within. There is a spoiling, a rottenness. The nature of the fruit of their lives is not refreshing, but it is spoiled. It's rotten. They commit vile injustice. There is no one. There is none doing good, it says. So whether this speaks to all of humanity, or in particularly those who are living their lives saying there is no God. But we could continue the next verse. It said, God looks down from the heavens upon the children of men to observe if there's any who have understanding or insight, who seeks after God, any who are seeking after God, right? He's looking for good fruit. And there's no one who does good. It says all are rotten and mealy, basically. Verse 4 says, all have turned aside, or all are off the path. in unity or together, yachdav, yachad is the word in unity, they have become corrupt, spoiled, rotten. Right? That what you see is the nature of me firstness, what it does to humanity when we become our own God, right? And so that's where that all together in unity, all humanity, we see sinful nature is corrupting us. There is no one who does good, and unless there's any, so there's no confusion. It says, Ein gam echad, not even one. There's not one. Verse 5, will the evildoers never learn? The word there for learn is to know. Will they never, yada, to know, to understand? Will they never get it? Will they not come to knowledge, those who are committing wrongdoing? And here it says they consume my people as they would eat bread. Usually when it's making a simile, like they would do it like they eat bread, there's a letter and a kaf that indicates that it's making a comparison. And that's not here. So it almost gives the idea when you read this that it's nothing wrong with saying they consume my people as they would eat bread, but the literal translation says they consume or they eat. They consume my people. They consume bread. They never call on God. God they don't call on, right? So that they are. It's as normal consuming my people as normal as they consume bread. They do it daily. And again, here the Lord referring to his people does seem to make a distinction, almost like my people would be those who call on my name, those who walk in accordance, who recognize who I am and walk in accordance with me. There does seem to be a distinction so that this idea even of us being made new, but these evildoers, well, they never understand. They consume my people, they consume bread, and they don't call upon God. There they are in great dread. Now is this referring to his people who are in fear of all of these evildoers? There they are trembling in fear. They are trembling in fear is literally what it says, when there is nothing to be trembling in fear about. Because God has scattered the bones of those encamped against you, of those besieging you. You have put them to shame because God has rejected them. Verse 7, who will give salvations, and it's plural here, Yeshuot, who will give from Zion salvations, deliverances, rescues to Israel? And the answer, the Lord will. It says, in restoring God the captives of his people. When God restores the captives of his people, let Jacob rejoice, let Israel be glad. Right? So the Lord is working to restore his people who are in captivity. And so when the Lord is looking down on us, are we a people who are calling out to him? Does he see a people who are trusting in him, looking to him, or living their lives as though he's not even there? Psalm 113 is a psalm that we looked at quite a bit during Passover. It's the opening psalm of the great Hallel, it's an amazing psalm. So let's open up, and it's a praise. Hallelujah. Praise, O servants of Adonai. Praise the name of Adonai. Blessed be the name of Adonai from now and until the ages. And it says from now and forevermore, or until the ends of the age. Blessed be his name. Blessed be who he is, the character of God expressed. Of course, Exodus 34, 6 and 7 tells us the name of the Lord reveals his glory. He reveals his name. This is what he says about himself. He gives his name Adonai, Adonai, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, That's who he is. Slow to anger and abounding in chesed, abounding in loving kindness, abounding in truth, showing mercy or showing chesed to thousands or to 1,000 generations, forgiving iniquity, right? Our twisting, forgiving our transgression, our rebellion, forgiving our sin, our missing the mark, our error. Yet by no means leaving the guilty unpunished, but bringing the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon the children's children, to the third and fourth generation. Blessed be the name of the Lord. This is who he is, the one who looks down upon us, the one who cares for us, the one who is compassionate and slow to anger and overflowing in love and in truth and showing mercy to thousands. And even in his punishment, right, not withholding guilt, the punishment of the guilty, he doesn't leave them unpunished, but even there's a graciousness in that while his love is to thousands of generations, that there's a limitation into the third and the fourth generation in his punishment. So when should we praise him? Right? Verse 3, from the rising of the sun to its going down, the name of Adonai is to be praised. Adonai is high above all nations. His glory is above the heavens. Who is like Adonai our God? Enthroned on high, verse 6, who brings himself down, right? He brings himself low. He humbles himself to look upon heaven and upon earth. So who is like the Lord our God, this one who is above all, and yet he comes down, humbles himself to look upon us. And what does he do when he looks upon us? Verse 7, he raises the poor. He is the one raising the poor, or the word here is dalal, which speaks to the insignificant, to the small. That he takes the small, the insignificant ones from the dust, raising them from the dust, lifting up the needy, lifting up the oppressed out of the dunghill, out of the garbage pile, out of the refuse pile, to seat him with princes, with the princes of his people. He settles the barren woman in her home as a joyful mother of children. Hallelujah, right? There is no one like him. He is active. He lowers himself and comes to us to see us, and he causes the insignificant he lifts us up. He brings the needy out of those who are oppressed, out of the stench of their circumstance, and sets them up in a place of nobility. He makes a home for them, right? He is king over all. He is good. He is our shepherd. Psalm 143. Psalm 143 is a psalm of David. He says, Shema, hear my prayer, Adonai. Give ear to my petitions in your faithfulness and in your righteousness. So here he's asking God, when he says he's asking for God's favor. Hear my prayer, and he's asking the Lord to intervene. And the word for my petitions is the word it's often translated supplications. It's a request for his favor. Lord, I know that you are a God who gives favor. So would you give ear to, I need your favor. I need your intervention. I need you, Lord, to come in your faithfulness and meet me here. Do not bring your servant into judgment. For in your eyes no one living is righteous. So that David recognizes here, there are none righteous among all who live. Right? The Lord looked down from heaven to see if there are any who does good. He says, there is none who does good, not even one. And yet there are those that he calls my people. We're not his people because we do good, but in responding to who he is, when he looks upon us and we respond to him, and we want to do good in order to walk in his ways, to be pleasing, to walk worthy of the call. It says in Ephesians chapter 2, which I don't have in here today, but it says that we were saved, right, by grace through faith. And so that no one can boast, right? So God's empowerment, he has rescued us by his power through our trusting in him, so that no one could boast. And then it goes on to say so that we might do good works, right? We're not saved because we've done good works, but we're saved so that we can do the things that we're called to do, so we can become who we were made to be. The goodness that's supposed to flow from our lives flows out as an overflow, as a reaction, a response to what he's already done. David says here, please, I need your favor, not your judgment. I realize no one that's living is righteous, right? Only you, Lord. But here's the issue. Verse 3, he says, for one enemy pursues my soul. This language, pursues my soul, it's this word hostile pursuit. Radaf is the word in Hebrew. It's often translated as persecute. Now, we'll see this verb in Psalm 23 as well, but here he's saying an enemy is in pursuit of my soul. He crushes my life to the ground. He causes me to dwell in darkness like those long dead. So I'm exhausted, Lord. He says, verse 4, he says, so my spirit grows faint within me. There's a feebleness over my spirit. My heart is desolate, is shocked within me. I remember the ancient days, or the days of old. I meditate on all you have done. The works of your hands, I think about it, I talk about it, I'm pondering, I'm going back and forth between speaking about it and thinking about who you are and what you've done, focusing, setting my eyes on you, setting my thoughts on you. Verse 6, I spread forth my hands to you. I need you, Lord, I need you. I need you, Lord. He says, I spread out my hands to you. My soul longs for you as a parched land. Answer me speedily, Adonai. My spirit fails. I don't know how much I have left, Lord. Please respond soon. Do not hide your face from me, lest I become like those who go down to the pit. And become like, there is the word mashal, which is a word for, lest I become like a proverb. I become this proverb of those who end up down in the pit. Don't let me be a bad story. I want to be a story of what you have done, Lord. Verse 8, he says, cause me or make me hear chesed, your love in the morning, because in you I trust. Cause me to shema, to hear your love from the beginning of my day, because my trust is in you. Show me the way. Make known to me, he says, the way I should walk, because to you I lift up my soul, my breath, my life. I'm yours. I am committed to your way. Show me your love, your covenant loyalty in the morning, and show me, Lord, make known to me how I'm supposed to walk, because I'm lifting up my whole life to you, all that I am. Deliver me from my enemies, Adonai. I hide myself in you. I'm taking cover in you. This is the prayer. This is the heart posture that delights the Lord. He doesn't look upon us waiting for us to be perfect and not dependent on him. He waits for us, calls to us to recognize how much we need him. That apart from him, we can do nothing. He is the vine. We are the branches. Apart from him, we cannot bear good fruit. Apart from him, we are like the one who says there is no God. There is no good fruit. If there's any fruit on the vine, it's rotten because it's not connected to the life source. He wants us to be a people who call out to him, who cry out to him, who stay in connection with him, who hide ourselves in him. Verse 10, he says, teach me to do your will. Teach me to do what pleases you, because you are my God. Let your good spirit, let your good ruach lead me or direct me, guide me on level ground. For your name's sake, Adonai, revive me, cause me to live in your justice, in your righteousness is the word here, tzedek. In your righteousness, bring my soul out of distress, out of trouble. Verse 12, in your chesed, in your love, cut off my enemies, silence my enemies, and destroy all who harass my soul, because I am your servant. Right? There is just a total dependency on him, a total love for him. Lord, when you look upon me, this is what I want you to see in my heart, is I recognize, Lord, that there's nobody living who is righteous in your eyes. Lord, but I want to walk in your ways. I'm fully, totally, completely dependent on you. I'm your servant in your love, Lord. Lead me, guide me, hold me close. And that brings us to Psalm 23. Adonai is my shepherd. I shall not want. I will not be deprived. I will not be lacking. In pastures of green, he causes me to lie down, or he gives me a resting place. It's the language that's even used for a couch. He sets up my bed in green pastures, right? Not in a desert, in a place where there is sustenance. It says he leads me, he guides me beside still waters, beside waters of refreshing, waters that bring peace and comfort. We had in the previous psalm we just read, the prayer was, "Let your good spirit lead me." Let your spirit, the goodness of your spirit, guide me. And so here we see he guides me, he leads me in paths of beside still waters. He restores my soul. He he returns my breath. If I feel like I'm suffocating, no, he's the one who restores my breath, my life, my soul. He guides me. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Now, a lot of times there are different words that are typically translated as path or way. The word derech is often or rev. These are words that are translated usually for paths and the way. But here, there's a different word. Paths here is the word, mitzgal, magal, which has to do with the impression. It's a picture of the impression made by a heavily laden cart as it rolls along across the terrain. And so there is a path that's been created here, right? The track will reflect the nature of the vehicle that caused it. So what there is there are tracks of righteousness, right? There are deep grooves of righteousness that you have set before me. He guides me in clearly laid out paths of righteousness for the sake, on account of his name, his reputation. This is who he is. Right? So I'm to walk in that way. So I'm asking him to guide me in these paths. But it doesn't mean that those paths will always be in taking me in this life through comfortable places. Sometimes those paths look like what we see in verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Right? Sometimes the shepherd is leading us through a valley that can be terrifying. And in that moment, when you're walking through that valley, there may be things in the shadows. There may be things that have every intention of destroying you, right? But I'm on the path of righteousness coming through this, and the Lord is my shepherd. And so even though when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm not going to fear what's in the shadows. I'm not going to set my eyes on the shadows. I will fear no evil. Why? For you are with me. And that's emphatically said there. Ki ata. He says, because you are with me. That's why I don't have fear. It's not that I don't. My lack of fear isn't because there's nothing to be afraid of. There are things to be afraid of. If the shepherd is not with me, this is a dangerous place to be, the valley of the shadow of death. It's a fearful place to be. I'm not fearing because you are with me. your rod, your scepter, right? The fact that you rule. And then the word your staff is it's the staff that you lean on, right? Your support, the fact that I can lean on you, that's what brings me comfort, consolation. In the midst of the darkest valley, I don't fear evil because you are with me. Your rod, your leadership, your sustenance, your support is what comforts me. You prepare a table, you arrange a table before me, right in front of my enemies, in the presence of my enemies. It's disclosed, made known to my enemies, right? So I'm there and able to eat off the table that God has provided, in full view of that which seeks to destroy me. My confidence isn't in my own strength, but it's in him. He is my shepherd. My trust is in him. He is my shepherd. My lack of fear is because of him, right? You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And it says, you have anointed my head with oil. Now, the language here for anointed and oil are connected, but it has to do with like the oil that even comes from choice food, oil and fatty food. So the first word that you've anointed is you've gorged with, or to soak with fat. My mouth, my head is gorged with choice food, or with oil. You've anointed my head with oil, but I have more than enough in you. My cup overflows. My cup, my bowl is saturated, it says, is drenched. Verse 6. Certainly, this I know, surely. Goodness and love, tov v'chesed, goodness and God's covenant love will hotly pursue me, will persecute me, right? We read in the previous psalm that these enemies are pursuing, hotly chasing me, to persecute me. Here it says, what I know is that your goodness and your love will pursue me, will persecute me. That's what I'm happy to be persecuted by your goodness and love, to be hotly pursued all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of Adonai forever, or for length of days. So when he looks upon us, right, he wants to know that we trust him, that we're looking to him to be our shepherd. When he looks upon us, what does he see? Does he see sheep who trust him? Does he see sheep who put our hope in him? Let's walk with a heart that is set on him, that knows that we're not walking around like those who say there is no God. We know that he is there. We know that he is faithful. We wait on his timing. We know that even though we walk through dark seasons, that he is with us. And the comfort we have comes from knowing that he is our support and he is our leader, that he is our provider, right? Trust him. Trust him today. Trust him all the days of your life. Amen? All right. Well, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, shalom. Have a beautiful day.